This is the 2024 Indian Springfield Dark Horse, and today we're going to give it our first impressions. So obviously, as you can tell, the Dark Horse series is completely blacked out from the seat to the body to the frame. A little bit of metal, bare metal showing here on the engine, but other than that, it's mostly completely black. And I think it looks pretty good. The seat looks very long and comfortable. We'll check that in just a second. The Vulcan from Kawasaki has the dash on the tank. I was not a fan of it. We'll see if this one performs any better. It looks like it is angled to the rider a little bit more. So these bars are a little bit different from some of the other bikes that I've already test rode. These are a little bit higher. So my arms are basically straight, slight bend. I'm 6'4" for reference, and my feet do feel a little bit high, or I feel like I'm sitting a little bit low. Yeah, looking at the dash here, it's very basic. You've got miles per hour, and then a small digital display below it, and your fuel at the top. I like that the fuel is separate from the rest of the dash. Looks like this does have different riding modes. Oh, this one has the heel-toe shifter, which is going to be a little bit tricky for me. I've only used the heel-toe shifter one time before, and I did not like it, so we'll see if I can get a little bit better at that today. Indian, as always, with the huge shifting and brake levers. Great job. I love how big these levers are. But these levers up here on the handlebars, still too thick. Does fatigue your hands after a little while. The seat is extremely comfortable, like I just mentioned. And I'm excited. I think we'll see which one's more comfortable, this or the Super Chief that I just did first impressions on right next door. Let's get to riding.
All right, just getting on the Indian Springfield Dark Horse. Vibration at idle. It's there, but it's not terrible. You can probably see it in the mirrors. The dash, like I mentioned, is low. And we'll notice the oil light is on here. I did talk to the Indian representative. He said it was a faulty sensor, and he gave me the okay to ride the bike. Having nothing up here looks very different from some of their other models that I've ridden. And the controls seem very basic. The seat does feel wider than the other big seats like the Challenger and the Pursuit. So far, this is a lot more uncomfortable than I was expecting. There are a few good things, there are a few bad things so far. The heel-toe shifter, much easier to operate than the first time I used one on the BMW R1800 Roctane. I hated that bike. The shifter was part of the reason why I hated it, and this shifter does not feel like that. So that's a good thing. This bike reminds me, just in general, a lot of that BMW, and this one is better for sure, no question. Some things I don't like about this bike, the seating position. My feet are way too high, and I'm sitting way too low. So my knees get brought right up, and my hips are on the verge of cramping almost the entire ride. Low speed maneuver and power delivery, just like all the other Indian big bikes that I've ridden, or all the Indian bikes that I've ridden. Very good, very smooth power and low speed maneuverability. Pretty flickable. Not as flickable as the Pursuit or the Challenger, which is funny because those are big bikes. The sound on this bike does sound great though. Something I have noticed, not sure what the deal is with that, is there's a fuel gauge up here and there's a fuel gauge digitally right above the gear indicator. The digital one says half full, and this one says 5/8. So maybe it's just a rounding thing in the computer. But digital's reading half full, and this is reading definitely above half a tank. Do have an auxiliary port right here next to the dash. Simple controls, great mirrors, great sound. The seat is comfortable, but it's when I bring my feet up is when it becomes uncomfortable. The brake and shifting levers are big and easy to use. There's nothing around the heel-toe shifter so I'm not bumping into other things when trying to shift like I was on the BMW. The levers for the hands are too big, too thick. That's just something I don't like about Indian's big bikes, is they use really thick levers. I don't like them. The grips themselves are pretty nice. They could be better. The handlebar position is high and it's pulling me forward, so it's definitely not my favorite. Once you get over the fact that this is a very uncomfortable position, at least for me, the ride becomes all right. The power is there. It's smooth. It's nimble, so it's not all bad. It's just I would not want to sit like this for more than an hour. My arms are definitely the straightest they've been on any of the bikes while riding this. So I'm stretching the most for this bike. Yeah, it definitely sounds great. No, it's a little vibration while riding, but not terrible. Definitely not the worst. The dash, it's almost like might as well not even have one. It's such an inconvenience to look down. It sounds stupid, but when you're so used to just glancing right here, and now you have to go twice as far to see the same or even less information, you might as well just not even look. We're at low speed cruising like this, very nimble. It feels good, except it's just definitely the most uncomfortable bike I've ridden so far at the Indian demos. Yeah, first and second, you almost have to shift immediately. So you really don't see the power until third or fourth gear.
Big shout out to Bell County Motorworks here in Temple, Texas. They were a great host and they put on a great demo. So shout out to them. Just finished the test ride of the Indian Springfield DARKHORSE, and the biggest thing for me was it was uncomfortable. I was sitting too low and my feet were too high, and it made for an uncomfortable ride. If you can look past that, or it's not uncomfortable for you, it was a pretty good bike. It sounded great. It had power when you needed it. Not the most responsive power, but it had plenty. The seat itself was comfortable. It's just where I was sitting compared to where my feet were, that's what made it uncomfortable. The dash, I basically ignored the dash the entire ride because it's, like I said during the ride, it's very inconvenient. It seems like a small nitpicky thing, but it's really not. When your dash is here and you can just glance, and then when your dash goes to here, you have to look. Glancing versus looking, it's a big difference. I just ignored it and just rode. Overall, it was okay. 25 grand, not for me. Definitely better than the BMW R1800 Roctane, no question. Around the same price, I believe, and it was no question it was better. So if it's your thing, go for it. If not, check out this video right here. If you want to see a bunch of other rides from me of different brands and sizes, check out this playlist right here.
Rapping when they own me to sing on. They all want an album, so I gave them 20 singles.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a hit, that's why I swing.